This is the Dark Side of America mass shootings presentation. So my name is Brian Hernandez. My current job is I work at the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. I am currently pursuing a master's degree of business analytics, and prior to that, I studied criminal justice for my undergrad. Why I chose this set is because it is related to my previous field of study. Crime and criminal activity has always been a topic of interest and fascination to me. Some of the challenges that I encountered while using this data set was finding a complete data. A lot of data sets had missing data, missing values, and I didn't really feel comfortable using that, but I finally found a data set that I felt comfortable with, and I used for this presentation. The viz itself, I had obstacles when it came down to creating an interactive viz. As I do not have a lot of experience with Tableau, but after many trial and errors and practice and more practice, I was able to finally create this interactive visualization and meet all the criteria for the assignment. So here we have the first sheet of my story. We have deadliest mass shootings in the U.S. 2011 to 2019. This is the actual data set that I will be using for the whole presentation and the Tableau viz. We have the number of and location of the mass shootings that occurred throughout the U.S. From these respective years. We have the West Coast and the East Coast respectively. This is where the most amount of mass shootings occurred. This is kind of logical because the U.S. population is kind of distributed between these two areas. So if a person wants to inflict the most damage, they will definitely visit the most populated areas. 2017, the deadliest year for mass shootings. We have two measures, the number of shootings and the total of victims. As you can see here, the total number of victims in 2017 is the highest point in any of the previous years and even the following years. This single year provided one of the most deadliest amounts of victims and also the most amount of number of shootings. The next slide is a comparison between male and female killers. We see here the total amount of victims of females is represented by the little female icon, and the little male icon is represented the male. 1,355 total victims for males and 12 total victims for females is a comparison which is a very, very large gap between these two. We can safely say that males are attributed to the most killings as a gender. Moving on to a race comparison, we see here that white shooters are responsible for most injuries and fatalities in mass shooting events. White shooters, are represented as the um, top race for injuries and fatalities in mass shootings. This kind of also makes sense in regards to population, as white individuals are the majority and the rest of the races are minorities. We can properly assume that a white shooter might be responsible for the most damage, since there is a larger population of white individuals in total. Moving on to the reasons why people commit such terrible crimes. This graph represents a number of reasons as represented by the data set. We have psychological disorders, hate crime, and job related stress, just to name a few. The top reason here is actually psychological disorders, with a 23 total count for the number of incidents that occurred. Psychological disorders is the primary reason for these shootings, and can be explained by this data set. So here we find a key findings summary. So we have the East and West Coast has the more shootings, as we discussed in the first slide. 2017 has the highest number of victims for mass shootings, as described in the second slide. The males are more likely to commit a mass shooting. Following slide, psychological disorders are a key reason behind mass shootings, and white shooters are attributed to killing and injuring more people than any other race. Conclusion: we have possible solutions to help alleviate this issue in the United States. Better mental health programs and educating public officials and just the public in general about mental health problems and how to report or how to bring forth, how to get the help that people need uh, could be a possible solution. Moving on, we have gun reform and gun control. Obviously, all these shootings um, happened using a firearm, so limiting and restricting the access to firearms could be a possible solution. The third point here is reforming coping mechanisms for young males that feel isolated and alone. A lot of the research I went through did suggest that males that had these isolated and alone problems tended to not know how to reach out to individuals, and it mostly just led to anger and resentment for other people. So definitely helping, especially young males, finding a coping mechanisms to deal with their issues would be a great help in diminishing mass shootings. Lastly, we have minimizing media attention to major events where multiple individuals are killed. This is simply attributed to the fact that a lot of the shootings, shooters tried to copy previous shootings. So just minimizing this media attention, this, this this attention to these events might deter others from um, accomplishing or trying to accomplish shootings in the future. Here we have the list of sources. And for the interactive visualization, we have the map of the United States. You come here and set the specific location that you're interested in viewing. You can also hover over each spot and gives you the date, the total victims, the location, and a brief summary of the occurrence. This is done for all the locations. The next sheet provides the comparison between the total number of shootings and total victims. You can come here and highlight the respective measure. It brings forth the measure and makes it easier for analysis. Scrolling down, we have white shooters and their respective sheets. You can come and select the injured tab or the fatality tab, and it will make it also easier for analysis and comparison. This summarizes and completes my presentation. Thank you.